Hello, 大家好。Today's guest is Karla from the States. After living in many countries, she now lives in Shanghai for work. Today, I'll ask her what brought her to China and what her life in Shanghai is like. Karla, can you briefly introduce yourself, please?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. My name is Karla Michelle. I am from Texas, the United States, and I currently live in Shanghai. I've been living in Shanghai for almost 7 months now, and it's been really amazing. I work here full time as an English teacher, and yeah, I'm super happy to be here today.
Thank you very much. Wow, you are still quite new to Shanghai.
Yes, still fresh.
Before Shanghai, where were you?
Before I was in Shanghai, I was back home in the US for a bit, and then before the US, I was in Spain.
Wow. Is that your own decision or because your family moved to Spain, you also moved to Spain?
Oh no, it was definitely not. Well, it was my decision for sure. So I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin in 2023, and I had like a bit of a gap in between the summer because I applied to do English teaching in Spain. So I decided to travel around a bit in South America, and I decided to teach in Spain after I graduated because it was either I get a master's in wherever or I figure out how to move abroad without having to also do a master's. And I knew I wanted to be in Europe, so I decided Spain because I also speak Spanish, and I just didn't want to pay for a master's.
Why do you speak Spanish?
Oh yeah, a little bit about my background. My family is from Venezuela. Both my parents are from there, but they actually met in the US. And I was born and raised in the US, but I used to visit when I was younger. And I grew up in a bilingual household, so I wouldn't say I have a native tongue. I think both English and Spanish are very strong, but I speak more English than Spanish now, for sure, being in China.
Oh, wow. And then I know that like more and more people study English, right, in China.
Oh yes, for sure. So many people.
So English teaching job is very significant in China because there should be somebody who can teach them how to speak English. What you are doing is very significant.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So what makes you want to become an English teacher back then though?
I studied political science and business, and I always thought education was super important. And I actually wanted to work in politics for educational policy, but I actually didn't want to be tied directly to the government. So I was trying to find ways as well to work kind of in what I wanted, but also not live in the US. And so I found the easiest way to move abroad was to teach English. And I began with Mexico. I did a volunteer program there for a month, staying with a Mexican family, and I absolutely loved it. And then I decided to move to Malaga, Spain. I was teaching there, but I was teaching high schoolers. And it was a bit easier than in China because there they speak Spanish and English, which I know both. In China, it was a bit more difficult because of the language and also the age. I teach now nursery, so it's 2 to 3 year olds. It's very different than teaching high schoolers.
So that means you used to use Spanish, right, to teach English to the people there?
Yes.
But now you have to use English to teach English to the smaller kid.
Yes, exactly.
Then how to teach English must be very different. So.
Yes, for sure. I mean, especially with small kids, I think we already have a language barrier because they speak Chinese. But even with a language barrier of Chinese and English, they also don't fluently speak Chinese as well. So they're learning 2 languages at the same time. At first, when I began, it was very hard because I didn't know. I know basic Chinese, but I didn't. Hearing it constantly overwhelmed my brain, overstimulation. And the kids will say something and then I wouldn't understand. Now that I've been here for a couple months, and kids tend to say the same phrases all the time, especially in Chinese. So now I understand like simple, like it means go to the bathroom, like 洗手, or like, I don't know, like 不可以, or they just say the randomest things and I pick up on the words. minutes. And that's actually how I also learned Chinese.
I see. Learning from the kid.
Yes, exactly. I'm learning just like a child.
Are you guys allowed to use Chinese during your teaching lessons? I mean, because some international schools in Japan, teachers are not allowed to use Japanese to talk to the students. So I was wondering if the situation was the same in your place.
I would say yes. Yeah, most of the time, you're not allowed to speak Chinese. Luckily, I don't even speak a good fluency, so I never use it most of the time. And my kid, they actually speak pretty good English. Some of the parents speak English as well, and they do at-home practice with them. So, if anything, I think they speak more English than Chinese most of the time in the classroom. Unless they start getting rowdy, then the Chinese teachers have to go in and settle them down in Chinese, but I never speak Chinese to them.
And then they are also willing to talk to you more in English, right? Because they want more opportunity to practice.
Exactly. And they love it. They genuinely love to get my attention. They love it.
Very nice. So, before you moved to China, do you know anything about the country or the people there?
To be honest, I didn't know much about China. I knew about the Great Wall because it's one of the wonders of the world. I knew only 2 cities, Shanghai and Beijing. So before, nothing. Genuinely. But in I went back home 2024. I would say 2025, beginning of 2025, China started getting kind of like a boom of attention on the internet because of advanced technology. So they were talking about high-speed trains, they were talking about robots. I don't know what happens, just an influencer that streams, he went to China, and then out of nowhere, a bunch of these other Chinese news and what China had to offer came out on social media. And that's when I started learning more about China and also the other cities that are in China besides Beijing and Shanghai. I mean, you have Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Chengdu, these cities as an average American wouldn't even know. So that's when I started learning more about China, was beginning of 2025.
Oh, were there any Chinese friends around you?
I actually had no Chinese friends. I've always had Asian friends, but mostly Japanese, Vietnamese, and then Malaysian. But Chinese, no.
So you started getting interest towards China because of the technology that you saw on the internet like 1 or 2 years ago. And then after that, what has brought you to Shanghai?
Yeah, so it was a funny story because I came back from Spain because I didn't see any career growth opportunities. So I was like, okay, let me go back home, reassess, settle down, because it was a year and a half, almost 2 years of me constantly traveling and trying new things, meeting new people. And it got to the point where I was really burnt out and I didn't know exactly what to do with myself career-wise, which I would say. And I decided the best thing was to go home, go back to what I know and not having to figure out life all the time. So I needed some stability and I decided to do that. And actually, I think 3 months after I was settling down back home, I got an email. At the time, I didn't know how being hired in China as an English teacher works, but someone reached out to me. They found me on LinkedIn. They're a recruiter, but partnered with an agency, and I got recruited to teach in China. I did ignore the email at first because I was just not, to be honest, I wasn't really interested. I was still figuring myself out. I've never been to Asia. I've always been super into the Europe and South America. And this was in 2024. Yes, June 2024 is when they reached out. And then it came to a point in October of 2024 where I was like, I don't want to be in the US anymore. And I was considering South America. And then my mom was like, I brought it up, this email, and she's like, I think you should consider China. China has good opportunities, learn a new language and culture, and why not do it? I mean, you're young. I would do it if I were you. And so she is the one that really got me to explore the opportunity about China. And I did that. I reached out. I said, look, I'm interested. I need to know more though, because I genuinely don't know anything about China other than Shanghai and Beijing. So, and they started to explain cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Chengdu, all these other cities. And I got interviewed by, he said the assistant at the time, his assistant at the time, and I got the job, but they're like, we need you in February, and I was not wanting to go in February. There was still some things I wanted to settle down in the US, and like, I knew once I moved to China it would be a big change, and I still didn't know much. So I was like, no, I won't do February, I can do August. I was like, I can, because in the US, that's how, when the new school year starts, and I think China's the same. They wanted me after Chinese New Year, but it's still continuing a semester. So I was like, no, I want a brand new like school year. And yeah, we agreed on that. And I did what I had to do back in the US, and I moved myself to China. And I think you said why I chose Shanghai. I chose Shanghai because every YouTube video I saw was about Shanghai and everyone raved about Shanghai. It's the most international city, modernized city. I was gonna go to Shenzhen actually because I love the mountains and the beach and Hong Kong, but I really wanted to challenge myself because I always move where there's a beach. And so yeah, I chose Shanghai, and to be honest, I love it. I love Shanghai. I don't regret my decision at all. I met great people just like you, and yeah, that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Yes, we met in Shanghai last year.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, Shanghai is a very international city, and so was Tokyo, but when I go to Shanghai, I always get to meet the people from other countries who usually I don't get to see in Japan. So I think Shanghai is very interesting.
No, for sure it is. It's amazing.
So you chose Shanghai, right? And then you also felt that Shanghai must be a very international city, right? So after you got your job offer, then you have to prepare to move to China, right? Were there any challenges that you faced in the process of moving to China?
I would say something about China that I've learned since the beginning, like being recruited, was everything's very efficient. Efficiency and speed, that is their thing. So I didn't have a problem with like speed or visa. I wouldn't say those were the challenges for me. Logistically, I didn't have any challenges. Flight was good, work permit was good, everything was good. It was more like emotional challenges because I knew like it's a big move. It isn't like a Spain. I'm moving to Spain, and like it's similar to what I've already used to. I speak the language. This is a whole different situation. I have to be mentally prepared for the food and like the language. I don't know nobody. I genuinely knew nobody in China. So it was one of those things where it's like a leap of faith, because also my mom is no longer going to be living in the US. So it's like, wow, like I can't go, like the first time or the second time I move abroad, it's not like I'm going to go back home because I don't like this anymore. It's like life will be completely different. So it's like I have to make this work. And I think everything I did while I was back home prepared me for what I have already experienced in China. So that's really good. But I would say those were my challenges. I think some people have different challenges. Some people bring their dogs or kids, etc. But for me, I didn't have any logistically wise.
So everything is smooth, including your visa application.
Yes, they're the ones that take care of everything. They're like, just make sure you have the documents. I recommend just getting, all your documents apostilled, like from wherever country you're from, your government, and they take care of it really easy. And they're so fast with everything. When I got here, an apartment within a couple days. So it's very efficient in China.
Oh, so your company helped you to get the apartment, right?
Yes, they did.
That's good. Is your apartment close to your school?
My first apartment was, since I moved 3 times here, my first apartment was really close to the school. I would take the bus, but now I live in the city center. So I live about 40 minutes from my school, but it's really nice. I prefer to live where like there's everything around me rather than being like super close to my job. But yeah, they take care of everything for you.
It's easier, right? Like when you live in the city center, easier to, make appointment with your friend and go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's so nice. Like I think, you're in a big city, you're trying to, experience the city. I think when you have too much a commute, it can be a little draining. So living right in the city center just makes everything like so much better. And also access to friends very easily, events, etc. It's just very convenient.
Do you share apartment with somebody or do you live yourself?
So when I first got here, I was living by myself. And then when I was looking to move again, I was going to live by myself originally. But the thing is, the closer to the city center, the more expensive.
Yeah.
And not that I couldn't live by myself, but I was like looking at like bigger apartments. And I saw, oh, well, actually, if I live with other people, I can get a bigger apartment and pay cheaper rent. And the apartment's a lot nicer than getting a little studio. So now I live with two good friends of mine, which is amazing. And we live like right where all the expats live. So it's really nice.
So you didn't go any like in a random website to find your roommate, but you decided to live with your friends that you already knew.
Yes, exactly.
That's more comfortable, right? It might be a little difficult to live with the strangers.
Oh no, I would not believe me living with strangers. I've done it before though. Like when I was in Spain, I was living with some strangers. I did meet them in a group chat, and it was not bad living situation, but it's way better to live with your friends for sure.
Easier to discuss even the small matters, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what was your first impression of Shanghai when you first living there?
Oh, my first impression of Shanghai, I was like, this is a city. I come from Dallas, which is also a really big city in Texas. But we don't have as nearly as the population as Shanghai. We have like maybe 1 point something million, 2 million almost. Shanghai, you have 30 million people and there's skyscrapers everywhere. In Dallas, that's not the case. I mean, we have Dallas and then you have Fort Worth. You do have skyscrapers, but it's nowhere near like Shanghai. And Shanghai is busy city, busy. You'll see a pop-up one day, the next day it's something else. Things are always changing in Shanghai. It's crazy. I've seen so many things shut down and open. And in the US, we use our cars everywhere. So even if you live in a city like I was, it's nothing like this. Like this is walkable, clean, you can take the bike, metro, etc. I was just thinking, wow, I thought I was from the city. No, I guess I'm a small town girl. Like I'm not from the city.
You don't need a car, but you can easily get a taxi in Shanghai.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so like affordable compared to the US. If I were to get like an Uber or something, it's 5 times the price maybe.
Like how much difference if you take a taxi in Shanghai and then Dallas?
Oh yeah, no, the cost of living in the US is definitely a lot more expensive. So for instance, if I were to take, I don't know, maybe let's say a 40-minute car ride in Shanghai, let's see, it could easily be like maybe 70 RMB, give or take, which 70 RMB maybe in US dollars would be like $8, I would say, something like that. And then if I were to take the same like time, 40 minutes in the US, in Dallas, that would easily be 50 USD. So the difference is a lot. Yeah.
And then what was your biggest culture shock you ever experienced in China?
I think the first culture shock that I had was definitely my 5 senses. The smells. I was not used to the smells. And I wouldn't say they're bad. I'm used to them now. But I was not used to smelling so many different things. Because, you know, there's street food, there's I don't know, just in general, stores smell different. Everything smelled different when I got here. I had a sensory overload. And the food, I don't know if this is all in China, but definitely in Shanghai, can get oily. So I wasn't used to the food. I was like, oh, this tastes interesting. You know, I think all the culture shocks had to do like, wow, and the different things I was seeing. I mean, there's people everywhere. And where I was living at the time, there was a lot of honking and motorbikes. Or not motorbikes. They don't use motorbikes here, but scooters. There's scooters going left and right, people yelling and like smoking. So yeah, just sensory overload everywhere. I back home, no one's on the street, and you just walk to your car, go to the shop, and you're not experiencing like 5 different things around you. Here's the polar opposite.
Did you think that the people in China is noisy or not?
I would say in the beginning I did think they were, like, it was very loud. I was like, so loud. But I think it was also because I wasn't used to the Chinese language. So, of course, it's like very overwhelming hearing a different language, especially like in a very loud way, that it's like, wow, you're loud. Now, not so much. I don't think it's too loud. Sometimes people do speak very loud, but I don't think it's loud in general like I used to think.
Did you used to overwhelmed by the people talking in a louder voice?
No, I was not used to, or like sometimes I feel like in Mandarin, Chinese, they're very expressive because it's a tonal language. So when they're talking, sometimes they sound angry, but then they're not angry. And you're like, oh, you're not angry. You're just having a conversation, because I think sometimes it can sound rough. For us, like, in English, I'm not speaking in Spanish, but in English, if we were to talk loud or like in a very aggressive way, it's because you're like angry. But in Chinese, I think it's just the way the words are pronounced. That's why it sounds like that.
I heard that if they don't talk in a louder voice, the people wouldn't understand what you are saying if you use
Yes, exactly. And I'm over here like quiet. Yeah.
I actually have an experience when I was studying Chinese a long time ago, and I was still not confident in my speaking. So when I was talking to the random RIE on the street in a quieter voice, and then she couldn't understand what I was saying.
No, it's true. They want you to like yell at them, like, da, da, and you're like, okay.
Yes, it's kind of embarrassing for me, because in Japan, if we talk in a louder voice, the people wouldn't feel comfortable. I mean, the strangers wouldn't feel comfortable. Oh, this person is too loud, something like that. But in China, nobody cares.
No, they want you to yell. It's like, if not, they'll look at you and be like, haha, like, talk louder. Like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. So what is the most memorable moment you had in China?
That's so hard. Most memorable moment. I don't know. I think the thing with China, I think what's cool about it, especially being in Shanghai, is the people you meet. I've met so many people here, like so many from so many different backgrounds, so many different countries, and it's a very unique city. So you're always meeting people, and I think my most memorable moments are the people that I've met in China, because I've had people reach out to me from social media, and they're like, I'm visiting Shanghai, I would love to meet you, or I would love to participate in the run club that you are in, etc. And so I will meet these people. From one guy reached out to me from Australia, and I was like, oh wow, like the power of social media. First, how did you find me? And second, like, this is crazy. And so basically there's one night we threw like a very fun house gathering, because we just moved into our new apartment. And we're like, let's invite some friends over and do a housewarming. And so I invited him, and like my friend invited another guy that she just met, and then another one, some other girls that we met as well. And it was kind of just like, okay, let's just throw all this random party. And it was so fun. It was such a memorable moment, because everyone was interacting with each other, exchanging what they were doing. A lot of them were doing actually social media, and it's just a very pretty moment of like, how many decisions did people have to make in order to meet this people in this random apartment in Shanghai, you know? So I always think of that because I personally don't meet like many like Americans that are from Texas. So when I meet someone from a completely different side of the world, it's like, wow, what had to lead for us to meet? So that's what I find memorable.
So you usually meet the new people through social media nowadays.
Yes, and also like in China, it's so easy to meet people. In Shanghai, or you talk to someone in a cafe, they'll ask for your WeChat. It's very, very easy to meet anyone here. So if I don't know, I know some people are scared to come to China because they don't know what to expect. But all I can say is, I feel like China is a very welcoming country, especially Shanghai is a very welcoming city. It's so easy to just reach to someone like in social media or in a cafe when you get here. Use your translator. I say Chinese people, they're very patient in a sense. I mean, if you want a service, they'll be patient with you and they'll work with you through a translator. So yeah, I feel like it's just such a welcoming country in a sense. And if you want a unique experience and to experience something different, I recommend it.
Do you think it's easy to make friends, especially the local friends in Shanghai?
That's a good question. Local friends, that's a different story, I think. Because I think also it's due to language barrier and also taste. Because I don't have local friends, I would say, that are Shanghainese. And if they are Shanghainese, they lived in the US. I have a really good friend, Shanghainese, but lived in the US for 6 years. So it's really like very hard to be friends with locals just because they are shy and also language barrier. Or sometimes they do know English, but then they don't really want to express themselves. And usually everyone has their friend groups. And to broaden like the question, I would say it is easy to make friends in Shanghai, but it's also very easy for friends to leave because Shanghai is a transient city. So there's always people coming in and leaving and coming. And so I think that's the hardest part that I've had here is building like a very, very strong community of people that are staying here. I wouldn't say like, because at the end of the day, I don't know how long I'll stay here, but definitely people staying longer than a month or like even like weeks. Like you'll meet someone and they're only staying for 2 weeks and they're a great person. So I think it's really hard to find that consistency sometimes in friendships.
That means finding a community would be the key to find a friend, both Chinese friend and international friends.
Yes, exactly.
In that way, the community that you join in Shanghai must be really good because in there you have Chinese people and the people from many other countries, right?
Yes. It's been so good. I entered Shanghai. Well, I did make some connections on social media before I came to Shanghai, and I was invited to a dinner. And I've met some really cool people that are living here like pretty long term, and they're some of my greatest friends here. And then they started a run club, and that has been super consistent. But the run club also has new people and old people that come, but I'm friends with the founders and the people that are staying here as well. So that has been really nice. But definitely community is key to be friends with anyone here.
Understand what you mean. Now you live in Shanghai as a foreigner, right? So what are the advantages and disadvantages of living in China as a foreigner?
What are the advantages? A lot of job opportunities. There's a lot of business that wants to be done here in China. And if you're a foreigner who has foreign connections, they definitely want to do business with you. I can speak more of the aspects like I'm an English teacher. There's so many English teaching opportunities here. China really wants people to learn English and people who come from a country that speaks English as well. So as a foreigner, you can do anything here. I think they want models here. They want people to sell their products, overseas. They want people to make clothes. Like, there's so much to do in China. There's a lot of advantages. I think sometimes people can be discouraged because they don't know the language, but actually business can be done in China without knowing much Chinese. I think either you find someone who really understands how to do business here and someone who speaks Mandarin, or you yourself also speak Mandarin and like how to navigate things. But other than that, there's so many advantages, and I think China is very welcoming in that aspect.
So obviously, if you know Chinese more, then it will be a lot easier to do anything, right, in China?
Yes, but even if you don't know Chinese, it's also like so many advantages. I mean, I didn't know Chinese at all, so I got here, so that's good. But definitely, because it's not just the language as well, it's just how people do business in China. Here, it's all about trust and like good communication, fast replies. They're very efficient people. So I think knowing how they do business and respecting that and also being able to work with that, then anything is possible.
Yeah, and even talking about your daily life, because of the technologies in China, once you have a phone and the internet and you can order food, you can call the taxi or catch the bicycle easier, right?
Oh yes, for sure. You cannot let your phone die here in China. If not, you won't survive.
You have to make sure you have enough battery on your phone and then you have access to the internet on your phone.
Yes, exactly. You have to. Also, here in China, you have to have a Chinese phone number. It's very, if you live here, like it is complicated if you do not have a Chinese phone number. A lot of apps ask for it. Delivery. That was the first thing they had me do when I came to China, was to get a SIM card. And I think also for foreigners, not every country is like this, but especially as an American, after the iPhone 15, we only had eSIM. We don't have a slot for physical SIM. And in China, there's not much eSIM. eSIM is not a thing, really. So that was a problem. And so I had to order like a really cheap phone from Taobao. So I have two phones because I don't have the physical slot for a SIM card. So I think people need to take that into consideration because I did not know about that before I came. I did a lot of research, but that was not talked about.
Actually, similar problems happen to the Japanese people because most of the phones in Japan that are sold in Japan, they don't have any physical SIM slot. So once they go to China, they need to get a new phone in China for the Chinese phone number.
Yeah, I did not know that was a thing till I got here, honestly. And then you make friends and everyone's carrying two phones.
Sometimes that's complicated, right?
Yes, it is. It is very complicated.
Next question. So you were born in the States, but your family is original from Venezuela. How do you think China is different from the States and Venezuela?
Lots of differences. I would say work is very different. Working in China and working in the US. Working in the US, I would say like we like to work. We work. But Chinese people work even harder than us because we're the type, like, if it's after, like, office hours, we're not gonna reply to you. We just don't. That's not a thing. Like, you'll see it next morning when I get back to you. In China, everyone's working, like, 24/7. They'll be like, I need this done now, and now is now, like, or yesterday. Like, so that's definitely very different. And also, in the US, like being more personal with your boss is like a thing. Like we don't really have an establishment of, I would say like hierarchy, you know, like to never question the boss or if you disagree with something. I think in China, there's more of the whatever the boss says, it goes. I would say that exists a bit. And also, I feel like in the US, we plan a lot of things. Like we like to do things like we will plan a month in advance, 2 months in advance. In China, while working here, I realized some things are really last minute. So they'll change it completely. So each day is like a new day. So yeah, those are like the key differences, I would say, work culture wise. Lifestyle wise, especially in Shanghai, it's very, very busy. But the cool thing is you can order anything at any time and it'll be delivered. Delivery is really big here. I'm not much of an online shopper, I would say. And I'm still not. I use it because I am in China. But usually I will go into the store or like I'll go into the grocery store. But sometimes I don't have time and I'm just going to order it online. So I would say the main difference between China and US is definitely convenience. China is very convenient. But I think sometimes the US works in efficiency in a sense of like having everything very well prepared. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Understand what you mean.
Yes.
I also heard that in the States, you can share your opinion to your boss or somebody who is in a higher position and they will still listen to you, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. In the US, that's a thing. In China, that's not a thing.
So obedience, I think it's an Asian thing. Japan, we have a similar culture actually.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, because I only say China because I've only been really like working and living in China, but I do know like Eastern Asia, like South Korea, Japan, and China have very strong work cultures. That's what I've heard.
Still, I feel that the way how the Chinese people work is more intense compared to the Japanese people. Japan used to be like China like 20 or 30 years ago. But now, people started to thinking that working too much is not good. So especially for our, physical and mental health. So now people started to encourage not to work too long hours. But still, a lot of people work overtime in Japan though.
Oh, okay. I heard as well, like, I don't know, they have drinking as well. They go drink, like, with their boss and stuff after work in Japan. I think that's also a case, or to do business. But I don't work corporate China. I work just, like, as an English teacher. But here in China, they have the 996 as well.
Yes. So that means your co-workers are not only the Chinese people, so you also have international co-workers as well, I guess.
Yes. So my school has, I think we're 10 foreign teachers. Yeah. And then the rest is all Chinese. But my school is very balanced. We work really well with our principal and the director who oversees all of us teachers. I would say we work pretty well. And there's no imbalance in a sense. But I do get things changed sometimes very quickly and we have to like spin it around.
So because you work for schools and then you work for the smaller kids, so usually you guys don't stay in the school until the right time, right? You go to the school early, but you still leave the school early.
Yeah, so luckily I don't have 996. I do work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But that's another thing that I actually had to get used to in China was in the US and in Spain. When it's holiday, it's holiday. We don't make up days. In China, you have makeup days for holidays.
Yes.
So you'll have to come in on a Saturday and you're like, why? And then you're working 6 days that week. And in the US and in Spain, that would never be a case. A holiday, no makeup days. And that was something I had to get used to.
Are you used to that already?
I think I'm used to it. I'm just not a fan. I'm used to it.
I think that's only in China.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why they do it, to be honest. But, it's just the culture and you respect it.
Yeah. So what are the typical misconceptions about China that US people or Venezuelan people tend to have? What do you think?
I think misconceptions, it's kind of hard because I think a lot of it is viewed in a negative light, but I think a lot of things can be viewed in a positive light once you understand the culture and the history. I would say like one of the biggest misconceptions that Chinese people like to eat a bit of everything. Just true. I wouldn't say that's not true. I know there's Shanghai you don't see it as much, but there's certain like meats or something that people wouldn't eat normally in the West and they would eat here. But you have to understand like more of a history, cultural background, why China does that, It's not to waste, a part of the body of the animal before that's only what they had. It's more historic things, and then it's just kept alive till this day. So yeah, it is a misconception that Westerners have, but I mean you have to understand why. And if you don't want to consume it, just don't consume it. That's basically it. Another one is like, do they work so much, etc.? It's like, yeah, they work a lot. They do work a lot, but again, you have to consider, why do they work a lot? I mean, most products are made in China, and if they ship things to across the world, they are gonna need people that work at midnight to answer, a message. So there is a lot of, misconceptions, but I don't view any of those things negative. I view them positive just because it works for China and that's just how they do things, and that's how I see it. And to be honest, I think before I even came to China, I didn't think anything negatively or how to, oh, well, or is it run like this or do they do this? I didn't think much. I just thought of the Beijing Wall, like the Great Wall of China. But I didn't think much of like anything else. Maybe the food, but that was it.
So which cities in China have you traveled besides Shanghai so far?
So, since it's my first time in Asia, I didn't travel that much at first within China. I was like, I want to go to South Korea. So I went to South Korea, I went to Thailand, I went to Vietnam. But lately I've been traveling a little bit more in China, but more in the aspect of the cities surrounding Shanghai. So I've done Suzhou, I've done Hangzhou, Anji, and then I recently went to Nanjing. Oh. That was a very beautiful city. I actually really like it. It's my favorite one that I've visited so far. It's very peaceful, calm, and Nanjing used to be the capital. So that's a fun fact. And lots of history there. So yeah, I really like Nanjing. The thing is, I was prioritizing more other countries at first to visit because I've just never been in this side of the world. But I think now I'm more like, okay, I would like to see like different parts of China.
So each city very different, right? Even though those cities are still in China.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like Hangzhou is more naturey. Shanghai doesn't have much nature. It reminds me of Dallas, actually. It's flat. But Hangzhou, you have the tea farms. It's slower pace. Suzhou is also very slow pace. It's more of a canal city, so lots of rivers. Very water city. And then Anji, it's not much of a city. I didn't visit much of the city. I went there for hiking. But a lot of people who go to Beijing, which is on my list, they say it's more serious, more spread out. So each city is different and has its own culture and food.
What do you like about China so far?
What do I like about China? I love the people. I really, really love the people here. I think that's my number one thing that I love about China. What's another thing that I love about China? The convenience of things. Even though I don't like to shop online, convenience is great. So having food ordered to me is really good. And I think also just being able to be here is a great opportunity and anything's possible here. I think that's my favorite thing about China. I think us Americans sometimes when we find an inconvenience, we just like, oh no, we'll just, work on it tomorrow. I say here the persistence and the consistency is something that I do like because there can be an issue happening and they will want to fix it right away and they will do it immediately. It's not like, I'm gonna put this for tomorrow. And I think that's really nice because it solves a lot of issues and you can just move on quicker with like life or like work, etc. So that's something I really admire. I don't know many countries that work like that. In Spain, I'm gonna get that done like next week. That's slow. So yeah, I like that about China. And also the nature is really pretty. It's very, very pretty. I would go to the botanical gardens to get the Asian nature, I'd go to the Japanese botanical garden back home. And here I have it in my backyard. So that's really nice.
Very relaxing, sounds like.
Yes. It's great.
So the last question. So what would you say to those who have never been to China? How would you encourage?
I would say to the people who've never been in China, I would say have an open mind. It's not what you think it is. I think a lot of times social media likes to sell a false image of a place. I think just like when you buy a product online on Amazon, maybe do a little bit more research and ask the correct questions rather than just reading the first review and believing it's not worth it. So I would say have an open mind, do your research, and come see it for yourself. It's a lot better than what people portray on the internet. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Karla.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.